Welcome back here. Thanks to our sponsors for the very nice lunch up on the 54th floor. Did anyone get a chance to see the fellows working on the building? Was that an awesome sight?
I got a photograph. Yeah.
Did you get a photograph?
Yes.
I think we should post that on the
Okay.
ALSMA site. Maybe tweet it. It was really fascinating. Did you see that?
In the toilet.
Okay, you took the photo of the toilet. Okay. Oh, is it a good view outside from the toilet? Oh, I'll go to that. You gotta use the microphone.
The male one, yeah.
Yeah,
And the female one to the right.
yeah, so the male toilet has a view to the outside. That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's what they have on the new airplanes too. They now have windows in the lavatory. So, we're going to talk about the life of a premier selling partner. Is that the right term, Matt? Is Matt here? Premier SMB partner. Right, premier SMB partner. And with me, I have Ben. Ben will give you his job title and what he does. And we're just going to talk about the role of the PSP in the context and how it's been going. And if we get a couple other fellows up here, we'll ask them the same questions, okay? So Ben, why don't you tell us about your sort of story with the process of signing up to be a PSP and how it's going and what sort of training, and give us kind of a story. And be sure to hold the mic close to your mouth.
Okay, so let me introduce myself first. So I'm the Senior Vice President of PCFU Media. So looking after the whole SME advertising solution business in Hong Kong. Give a little background about PCFU. So in PCFU, apart from the telecom arms, which I think last year we split into another brand called HKT, or when you recall Hong Kong Telecom, they just retain the HKT brand. And in PCFU, we retain two businesses. One is the solution, offer those IT solution to the business arena. And the other is the media business, which I'm in the media business. In the media business, we also own IPTV business. So it's the largest free TV business in Hong Kong. So apart that IPTV business, so we have the advertising business. So it's where my job coming to the stage. So talking about the YP business in Hong Kong, so I think like most of the YP friends here, so we experience much pressure in the decline of the PR pages in the past 10 years. And I can only say the step of decline is very fast in Hong Kong. So just to tell you, so today our print yellow pages constitute less than 20% of our total revenue, less than 20%. Talking about that,
How long did that take?
15 years, 10 years, 15 years. I can recall in 1997, so it's almost 15 years ago, so we're talking about 90% of business coming from print yellow pages. Yeah. And in the past 10 years, it's talking about 15% decline annually.
Per year?
Yeah, per year. Yeah. And so in terms of that digital transformation, I think in the past 10 years, so we experienced that digital transformation, so in the rate more than our YP friends in other countries experience. So we enter with Google, that premier SMB partners program in Q2 this year, only this year. But give you a little background. So Google is not new to us. In fact, back to 2005, so we have been the Google authorized reseller, and we sell Google for around 4 years, and we stopped. It's not on our side. Google stopped the reseller program in 2010. Yeah. And I think they got a new strategy, new team, and they will establish that a premier SME Plus program only last year. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So up here also with me is Pete Donlan. Pete runs Super Pages in Australia. Is that the right name?
Yes.
And luckily, the Super Pages in the US has gone away, so you're the only Super Pages around right now. Yeah, it's now Dex Media, so you lucked out. So why don't you, we'll leave it there with Ben. Why don't you do a quick introduction of your business and how you got on the PSP bandwagon and how the experience has been, and then we'll do some Q&A back and forth, okay?
Okay. We're relatively new to the program. I suppose about 2 months so far. Background on the business. Small Yellow Pages company in Australia, around about 7 years old in its history. Approximately 10 sales staff. Used to produce 6 books, we're probably down to 3 now. National online website, and moving more towards, as people mentioned this morning, to digital web and websites. And I suppose the natural progression for us was, looking at the AdWords product. It's we're a Yellow Pages company, if you like. We used to selling advertising to people, so this was just another form of advertising. And it was either, when you've got 93% of people, 94% of searches in Australia are conducted on the Google search engine, you either want to join them or, and we're not big enough to fight against them.
So let me go back to Ben for a minute. James talked about this morning about the difference he sees in various partners, PSPs. The ones who dip their toes into selling Google AdWords, and ones who jump in the pool all the way, jump in the swimming pool. Some people dip their toes in the swimming pool, some people jump all the way. How would you describe how you all did it? And also, it seems to me, and I've sort of watched this for a long time, is that one of the critical pieces of that is the commitment on the senior management part and the ability to either change out or transform the salespeople. So give us some color around that, or some context.
So in Hong Kong, as I said, the digital transformations, it happened 10 years ago. So apart, we building our own Yellow Pages. Actually, 9 years ago, so we first entered with Yahoo. We set a program first because unlike other places in Hong Kong, so Yahoo, in terms of usage, so at that moment of time, is bigger than Google. So when I say we entered with Google, the research program in 2005, actually the whole company already organized itself into a structure that's ready to transform itself from a only a YP company to a fully digital.
And that was how long ago?
It's around 9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of the training, into the people, even the back office, we establish you need a team. They take care of the web business. They do the search marketing center for the customers. So I can say we developed another line of back office support to support the growth of digital.
So, if you look at the back of your agenda, okay, there's the wheel, the Google Wheel of Fortune. And I can't read it without taking off my glasses, but a lot of it is around partner support. Can you all both describe the kind of partner support that you're getting from Google as a PSP in terms of helping you convert more customers and keep them on? And maybe also talk about you from a longer perspective and you from a near-term perspective, what else they should be doing? Like if you could wave a magic wand, and let's put the margin question aside, okay? But what other kinds of support would be helpful to you and your teams? Peter?
I've had an interesting experience, I suppose, and possibly I felt I was getting more support with my Google Engage partnership than I am with the PSP, but I'm relatively new to it, if you like. Magic wand.
Well, let me try and do justice to Engage. Engage is Google's partnering program with agencies in the marketplace. I think Paul Plant this morning talked about all the competitors besides the ones we hear of, all the local agencies, that's Google's partnering program with agencies, correct? Everybody understand that? So Google has two partnering programs in this space. One is the PSP program, and one is the Engage program. Why don't you describe the Engage a little bit more?
Look, yeah, as I say, we came on board initially as an Engage partner, and we're getting great support. And I suppose we're only bringing a small number of clients on board with regard to that. We would get phone conversations directly to Google through the Philippine call centre, which was fantastic, and they would satisfy most of our answers pretty quickly, and we were getting quite a good response. It's been good with we get more contact with the Australian Google partnership now, and we're getting great support and more training. Ideally, more training for our sales staff would be helpful. The customer support with issue side of things is probably I don't get personal contact anymore than I used to get.
Ben?
So Google offers very good support. So first they have a dedicated person. So in Hong Kong, this PCW. So it's Terry. So Terry,
Yeah, raise your hand.
yeah. So Terry is good. So
She's great. Don't say she's good. She's great.
it's just great. So they interact with my team so very constantly. So from the product update to the sales training, to participate in our sales briefing, to give a speech about so what's the good thing with Google, how to sell Google, so what's the new products coming in the pipeline of Google. And then, after the salesman sell contract, the most important part is you help the customer to optimize from the keyword selection to the title descriptions, preparation, and the upload. So we call it terms of optimization. So we sign a contract with customers, they give us the money, commit on the Google platform, and sometimes if there's some unexpected situation happen, so Google has team members. It's not only Hong Kong office, so they will get the resources from, for example, India, from China office to help us to give some tips, some way to optimize.
So it sounds like they're very supportive. As I travel around and talk to sales agencies and sales companies, training comes up over and over as, boy, we need more training, we need more training, we need more training. Could you both describe for the group, in your mind, what would be a 10, a top training? I mean, sometimes I feel like when people are asking for training, they actually want you to go in and do it for the sales rep. And so I guess what I'm trying to understand is, have you seen any state-of-the-art training, sales training that's going on? And could that be something that Google could do a better job with in terms of training your people? On the selling process, not the processing process, but the selling process.
And I suppose that was probably the difference between what we wanted to feel like. We believe we know how to sell. That's probably, and I think AdWords itself almost needs to be a slightly technical sale as well. The reps need to understand how AdWords works. For them, my personal opinion, for them to be able to sell it properly and talk educatingly to a customer. So if they don't understand how AdWords works, then I can't see how they're going to sell it properly.
Right. Ben?
So in Hong Kong, as I said, we already start the digital advertising selling 9-10 years ago. So actually we have our own training department. So we have a whole series of training. Of course, the major part of training still comes from the Yellow Pages. So we all know that in Yellow Pages, so we have a very good training process manual. So it's a consultative selling. So as somebody said this morning, the most important part of principle number one, you understand your customer needs. I think that part, so our YP order plans here, so we have a very good training already. So the only part that we add on top of the Yellow Pages traditional selling is to understand the internet market arena. So in that way, no matter it's Google, no matter it's our other search company partners. So they complement every year, so how they see the internet market. And then we need to educate ourselves and keep them updated. So what happened in the market and what role that each individual search company play. So for example, we know from Google their statistics, so in terms of mobile, the internet search, Google is number one ahead of the other search engine, head miles ahead. So this kind of information, I think the training will keep on update the salesmen, and so that they're more confident in front of the customers.
So you haven't seen your in-house training stuff is what you think is really good. You haven't seen any stuff that Google's brought to you that you would say is great training stuff. So you do a lot of yours is in-house, right?
We just had our initial training session with Google, which was a sales training side of things. It was a lot of it did work well, and it reinforced some positioning stuff with regard to the AdWords product and overcoming objections, that type of scenario. I suppose my team were probably looking for and I got involved there way through the training side of things to give a bit more product and technical side of things.
So I'm going to switch gears here. I have a little bit of a hypothesis. Okay, so Greg, the analyst over there, asked the important question this morning about margin. One of my views is that, and every market's different, so this is a bit of a generalization. But, I asked James and I asked Kartik at lunch today, if Google could help you with the churn issue, the margin issue would be less of an issue. And so my hypothesis is, and I'll let you guys debate this, is that if Google brought a couple additional products to the table, besides SEM, as part of that package, maybe it's email, maybe it's CRM stuff, maybe whatever it is that they could bundle up with and say, here's a Google package that goes beyond SEM, that becomes a bit more what I call business critical or mission critical, where it makes it more difficult for the merchant to say, oh, stop my program because I'm still using these other Google apps or whatever you want to describe them as. What do you think about that as a churn management strategy? So you follow my question?
To me, in PCFU, so we have ALSMA models offered to the customers. So I said follows, so if new products from Google, so they help me to satisfy more advertising needs and reduce down the trend. Of course, a good thing. But from a business angle, at the end of the day, is talking about still the margin. Because the whole formula, the bottom line, is still the retention percentage, plus the ARPA, plus the new business acquisition. It's a whole formula. So if we only address a single number called the retention percentage, the churn, and instead of addressing the other, for example, ARPA or the new acquisition and then the rebate. So it's still not complete. Of course, when you say it's a whole new suite of product, it may potentially increase the ARPA of advertiser.
Well, it could increase the ARPA and the retention.
Yeah.
It's kind of my thesis.
Yeah.
I suppose developing our own new products is probably more along that side of things.
So you
cost
keep all
effective.
margin.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Why bring a Google email marketing system when I can do it using our own or something similar to that, unless it's cost effective with regard to that. But I would consider bringing more products on ourselves and try and get more margin.
You were going to say something? What about in terms of helping you acquire new customers? What does Google play a role in helping you identify prospects out there in the marketplace that are not in your current print business or your current IYP business? Do they help you do they bring any customers to you? Or is it all, here's your PSP, you can print it on your business card, now go after it. Can you describe any work they're doing around and helping you prospect?
Yes, I think in Hong Kong, so we understand YP is a local product. So particularly even in the B2B, it's a local B2B. So we can attract those businesses, offer those local B2B. But in Hong Kong, historically, we have a lot of companies, they're the factory, so they have the business, so in manufacturing. And you know the market is not Hong Kong. The market is
It's global, yeah.
It's global. So in that arena, so we talk to Google, so it's a new market that we can gain in Hong Kong, that particular business environment.
And are they helping you identify that
Yes,
market?
we're working on something along that chain. Yeah.
Probably too early.
Too early. I'd like to hear questions from any of you. I mean, this is a very big topic. I think it's a big topic. It's a topic that we devote a fair amount of time, both in James's presentation this morning and this half an hour this afternoon. And I guess I'm looking for what's on your minds out there. You know, we could debate and have conversations the whole day about the margin question. But I think if you put that aside, what are the other questions that are the burning issues around? Is this the right business strategy to do? Should I be a PSP? Does it result in benefit to the bottom line? Is it accretive to the business? I mean, Ben, you've decided that it must be, right? And why is it so? Is it because that brand helps you get in the door? Is it because that brand helps you acquire new customers that you wouldn't otherwise have? What are the drivers of that?
So as I said, we need to set as customers. So we need to follow our customers' customers. So frankly speaking, in Hong Kong, so we had a lot of big brand this morning. So Google is one of the big brands that have a lot of usage in Hong Kong. So if we can't follow the customers' customers to do something, I think we due to a failure for the whole business.
But you could be an authorized Google AdWords reseller without being a PSP, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You can be a reseller. It may not have the authorized term, but you could do it without the PSP brand. Does that help you?
I think it's different. It's the two programs. The PSP were able to get some kind of rebate return from Google. It's important, as I said, the margin at the end of the day. So, for example, we all know in YP, so we sell $1 YP, so nearly 100% go to the bottom line. So we're selling third-party product, so we're selling $1, so most of the dollars belong to third party. So we need to have a good formula, so how to optimize the margin. So when we lose $1 in the YP to $1 to third-party product. So that program is important because they offer us a kind of rebate bonus to help us to optimize our profit margin.
Definitely, the PSP, I can see helping us. We can and we use it quite regularly. Claim we're only one of 7 authorised premium partners in Australia, which is quite powerful with regard to that. Business owners get...
It's just there could be thousands of sellers.
Yeah, but we're one of only 7
Right.
premium partners. So saying that, I suppose, puts a bit of authority behind who you are and what you do. And for us being in the early part, it seems to be working for us.
I'm still waiting for questions from the audience. What about could you describe the difference between when you were on with Google 4 years ago, and then they turned the program off, and then they turned it back on, and the differences that you've witnessed in how that's gone?
I think it's in terms of the support they gain. 4 years ago, so how to say, I need to say very carefully. It's managed by different people, different structure. The mentality is quite different. Yeah.
So it's a better mentality.
Better mentality, better work.
You would know since you weren't a partner before. We had a conversation at lunch around, all right, so you sell these programs to these SMBs, and how much do you have to do to make sure that your SMBs are able to take that traffic and convert that traffic? So it's one thing to get a click to a page that, you know, is part of what Google enables you to do. But a second and more important step is that click has to result in something, into some kind of conversion. Is it now all on your end at that point to make sure that the merchant's web presence and their landing page is built in such a way that it drives as many conversions as possible?
I would say yes. I suppose it leads into, I suppose for us also another sales lead into potential rebuilding a website or website maintenance. Because again, you don't want that churn side of things. You want to make sure, especially for us as an early partner, if you like, or an early company to selling this, you want to make sure that it works for the customer.
Right.
And that's very much a key thing.
So you have 10 sales reps, right? There are companies with 1,000 sales reps, right? So
I really like to get to that.
you'd like to get to that size, but I think at that size, the ability to make sure that all of the downstream merchants' web presence is as well built as it can be, so that the traffic converts as well as it can, becomes very challenging. So you're lucky you only have 10. What about you? I mean, what do you do to make sure that your merchant gets as much benefit from the traffic that you're reselling to them from Google as they can?
Yes, actually, we do quite good tracking for our customers. So, on one hand, so we discuss with customers. So, in your website, which page you think can bring the conversion? Somehow, it's maybe the inquiry page. Somehow, it may be the major registration page. So after we know that, so actually we use some of the Google tools to build a tag on those pages. And then for monthly, so we track for every keywords we develop for the customers. So we track every details for that keywords. What's the impression? What's the click-through rate? So what's the click go to that, what they call the conversion page. And from that we calculate the conversion ratio for the customer. And on a monthly basis, we give back to the customers and analyze for them. So which keywords give you a better conversion rate than we retain and keep? And which keywords doesn't give you a good retention rate? We change the keywords to another one.
How many of your customers are able to absorb that information and actually make a new decision on that?
I think it's 20%. 20%.
Can digest that information?
Digest that, yeah.
What do the other 80% do?
80% they don't care. There's some segment that they don't care, so have the budget. Okay, so it's very strange. I think from my 13 years YP experience. So the customer advertising dollar is linked to the economy. Whenever the economy is good, so
they don't care.
They don't care. And for that economy, it's industry by industry. Some industry for that year is a bad year for them, but for some other industry, it's a good year. So that's why, so for those 20%, definitely are those companies that are most conscious about the bottom line. They have the problem in the economy, so they conscious every dollar they spend, they need to bring the actual business back.
So a lot of process and a lot of systems in place to support the 20% who really care.
Yeah.
You want to answer that question? Okay, you don't need. So what the new program is called Enhanced, right? Is that what it's called? Enhanced. Have you seen? You know what? How has the new program called Enhanced affected? You know how your reps explain the program? Because now it's clicks, whether it's on mobile. You can't buy mobile. You get it all bundled in. How does that go over with customers?
Look, I think we're in the early start of teaching our reps this and understanding, but they do understand this. And I suppose it's just giving the customer the ability to now talk to them and say, look, you can now target, depending upon time of day, depending upon device, if you like. So, you know, and it's just, I suppose, understanding the customer's business more and then being able to target a program accordingly. I think it's a great tool.
I think in order to make that successful, there's some fundamental we need to address. For example, in the mobile. So we need to make sure the customer, the website is mobile friendly.
Yeah.
So I think in working with Google in the coming days, so we'll develop something that we can help the PSP at least, because we offer a web solution for our customers as well. So in our offering, we'll make sure that element, the mobile friendly elements will represent.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, when you have the mobile users, your user click on the website, it's not mobile friendly.
It's a
and
bad
it
experience.
masks the whole website, so it's a nightmare for the user. Yeah. So I think once we got that fundamental settled, I think all the good thing about the mobile search, so we can monetize it in a better way.
So we're going to do a little grading, okay? We got the wheel of opportunity on the back of our programs. So we're going to start from 12 o'clock, and you can give Google a grade. We want to use A, B, C, or A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, or F, or should we go 10 to 1? What's your choice? 10 to 1. Okay. 10 is great. 1 is terrible. In terms of, the first one is dedicated marketing management. These are their benefits. Well, Ben, how would you score Google in providing dedicated marketing management?
So I can say I'm grade 5, it's major, because in Hong Kong, so Google doesn't need to make any marketing management, so the search engine itself. So
Okay. Maybe part of this is definitional. Well, I guess you're early on, you can't really, you want to grade them? You can give them a grade. I mean, we need 2 grades and then we'll average it out and we'll give them a, well, hold the mic.
As in their dedicated marketing team for us.
I think it's their dedicated market management on your behalf, or them helping you understand the marketplace. And then not a very high number. Okay, 3. Co-branded marketing materials and promotions.
it's 8, so we're allowed to use the Google logo, so in all our sales material.
So 8,
10.
10.
There's a side piece. Being able to use that badge.
Okay.
Yes,
Program badge, that's another one.
What do you mean by program badge?
I think that's the symbol on your business card that says, is that what that means, program badge? Yeah.
So it's the same, just 8, yeah.
So those 2 are high scores. Customer acquisition programs.
It's 8, you mentioned the export program that we're going to work out with them.
Oh, you're going to give them an 8 in advance of them actually taking the test?
The confidence of James and
You're
Terry.
very good.
I haven't really.
You don't know. So they get a pass, no pass on that one? Performance incentives.
It's 3.
Sales, training, and support.
It's 8 to me.
Product updates and incentives.
Very good, the product update. Product incentive, I think 2 separate. For product updates is very good, 8.
Incentives is 3.
I'm not so sure.
It's interesting how they have those words bundled together. Technical operations support.
6.
My current experience would be 5.
Strategic support.
7.
Probably too early to.
Too early to tell. Partner management and support.
8.
James, you've got a lot of work to do, but because that just means there's a lot of opportunity.
All right, can I ask a question to our panel?
Sure.
All right.
Well, you need a mic though, or you need to speak loudly.
All right, so firstly, thank you very much for your feedback. We actually conduct a partner satisfaction survey twice a year. So we get pretty regular feedback from our partners globally. And we try to understand what's not looking good globally so that we can address it over time and make our program better. And also on a market-by-market basis, where are we falling down in each market, so we can figure out in a certain market, okay, what's going wrong there, so we can address it. So we take the feedback we get from you very seriously, so it's good to get that feedback. I think one of the things that stands out to me is globally, out of the top 20 yellow pages, we now work with every single one of those yellow pages. And what's nice is I don't think we've ever had a yellow pages decide to stop working with us. So I guess on balance, something's going right now. That could be the yellow pages feel strategically they have to sell our product. It could be that our partner program is really great. It could be somewhere
Pretty
in
high,
between.
you got pretty high marks, I mean, overall.
So, well, I guess the question I've got for you is, we're talking about quite tactical things, right? So, what support does Google give you for marketing or for branding or for acquisition events? I'm interested in a more strategic level, why you've decided to work with Google. Whether you see this partnership for your business as an advertiser acquisition strategy, or as an upselling strategy, or as a retention strategy. And I'm also interested, if you look forward, how you'd like that to change. So kind of, what's the strategic benefit of this partnership to you?
I suppose we're looking at it as a
Great question from the audience.
very much an advertiser retention side of things, but also looking at expanding into this. I suppose we see taking Reach Local as an example, as a company that I suppose started and now only do really sell AdWords, if you like, and see ourselves almost becoming part of that, if you like. But I see the AdWords side of things as it stands at the moment a very good part of the business to help us grow.
So growth, long-term growth. Ben?
Yes, just, it's still long-term growth, but just make one remark. I think it's 9 or 10 years ago why we, at that time, I think you all remember 9 years ago when Bernard Lee, the former CEO of PSP, stand here in Shanghai, they bring a term called co-petition. So cooperation and competition. Because at that moment of time, I think most of the people think YP, also a local search company, with Yahoo or Google, so it should be competitive. So two competitors, how can we work together? And at that moment of time, we say it's a co-competition. So at that moment of time, I think the long-term growth is important. We all know, so our strength and weakness. So our strength are the sales force. We have a very good sales management system. But the problem is the usage problem in the YP, gradually declining. So with the uprise in Google,
Search.
in Yahoo search. So I think in a common cooperation, we need to identify our strength. Still, for Google, I will envisage the strength of the Google is from the traffic side. How to help our advertisers, customers to gain access to them. And through that, so we try to maximize the monetization just between the YP company and a search company like Google. So just I mentioned some of the examples like is export. Another example is talking about video. So we all know the video is going to thrive up. And in the very beginning, I gave the introduction about PSP. We also own pay TV. So we have a lot of video content. We also have TV commercial. We do it actually for SMB in Hong Kong, apart from one package. Also do the TV commercial, put the TV commercial in the pay TV. And Google's the YouTube and all the video content. I think there's a lot of arena that we can cooperate. And
So you're not finished. This is not the end game. There's a lot more opportunity.
A lot of more opportunity to cooperate, to grow the market. Yeah.
It looks like there are actually a couple questions cropping up in the audience. Peter and then Philippe.
Just following on what you've just said there, Ben, what are your experiences of revenue cannibalization, where your salespeople are maybe moving Yellow Pages revenue into Google revenue?
I don't use the word cannibalization. Yes, cannibalization, when it's talking that word, is talking about, okay, somebody take your money out from your pocket. Actually, we understand in terms of the print or the Yellow Pages of our own business, so it's going to decline. And of course, we always have a good commission bonus scheme for the salesman to retain every YP dollar in the company. And the point is only that when we go to the customers, they say, oh, I no longer need YP. Somebody, because for Yahoo and Google, you remember we're not the only one selling that type of service and product in the market in Hong Kong. So there are a lot of people outside, and the worst case is that some of the YP salesmen, they go outside. And when they go outside, so they bring along the customer connection, and they're selling another product to replace the YP. So from that angle, I can say, so in our experience, we need to make a good choice. So at the crossroad, so whether we only keep on selling a single product, the YP at the moment of time, and stop talking with all at that moment of time what we call a competitor in the market. And so by developing a very good incentive, believe it or not, even today, so both the salesmen in Hong Kong, they're still selling the yellow pages first, particularly plain yellow pages first. Do you know why? Because they got most of the money from each dollar of selling the yellow pages. Because you understand, we got a good profit margin in the YP. So that's why we can enable ourselves to have a very good commission bonus scheme. So only when they can't, okay, we try to close the deal with the YP, and if they come say, I don't need, or I need to cut my budget drastically. So at that moment of time, so in the briefcase, the salesman, we have the back of the briefcase, we have Yahoo, Google, we have, or even the TV, in these 2 years we've done TV. So try to maximize the instant return when we visit the customers in terms of the contract renewal. Yeah.
One more question, then we're going to go into the next session. Sorry, Matt. Next time.
This is the question about bundling. So basically, I feel that we have spoken about this sort of gold, platinum packages for the SMEs, which are quite more simple for them to understand. And basically, we have sort of a budget that the SMEs have every year. My question is, do you have specific bundling programs or in place for in the future for these SMEs? And out of, if not, sort of, how much do you sell on bundling? How much do you sell out of the bundling for, say, for Google's AdWords?
You mean bundling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The bundling programs. Do you have simple bundling programs? Includes Yellow Pages plus AdWords.
To answer yes or no, we can always have this bundle as a sales visual and sell to customers. Unlike the print and internet pages bundle that we had that 10 years, 15 years ago, so it's a plain bundle for internet pages. It makes sense because it's our own product. But when you try to bundle own product YP with a third-party product, you can do that. And of course, we have that kind of program launch and also premium material. But if the customer says, if you need that bundle, I only need that one because I got another proposal from another company. There's a talk with me, I can sell, I can buy that single product at that price. So what's your price? So at the end of the day, so is the customer also decide, so what kind of things or the components within the bundle they can buy. Yeah.
All right, we're going to call an end to this one. I want to thank, can you guys give these two guys a big round of applause?